Welcome everyone to my first NFL mock draft of the 2024 NFL mock draft season, and I am really looking forward to get going. I am super excited to talk about the NFL draft again, as I always have a lot of fun with these mock drafts. I have fun creating my own mock drafts and looking at other people's mock drafts. But I will say right away that I am not planning on this being a very long video. I see a lot of mock draft videos that last between 20-25 minutes to about 40 to 45 minutes. My goal is to keep this between 12 to 15 minutes. As this mock draft, I am intending for this to just set the stage for next week's NFL Combine, with the NFL Combine being next week. And I'm not going to go through all 32 picks in depth. I'm only going to do a couple of them, but if there is a specific pick that you would like to know my reasoning, please let your thoughts be shared in the comment section down below, and I will give you a response. I promise I'll respond to you as soon as possible. Without further ado, let's get to my first NFL mock draft of the NFL mock draft season. With the first pick, the Bears once again have this first overall pick for the second year in a row. And also, I do want to point out there's no trades in today's mock draft, but in future mock drafts, I am going to plan on having a couple trades in there, but no trades today. Because again, this is just to set the stage for next week's NFL Combine. And I'm back and forth on whether or not the Bears are going to keep Justin Fields or move on from Justin Fields and select Caleb Williams. For this particular mock draft, I have the Bears selecting Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC, the 2022 Heisman Trophy winner. And with the Bears being in this dilemma for the second year in a row, I think with the hype that Caleb Williams has been getting, I think that's very tough for the Bears to pass up. As much as I do feel like the issues in Chicago were not entirely on Justin Fields, and I think they should at least consider building around Justin Fields. I think if draft night was right now and they had 10 minutes to make the decision, I think they go with Caleb Williams. With the second pick, the Commanders. I actually do not have the Commanders going quarterback. I'm sure if you saw 100 different mock drafts, I'd say at least 95% of them would have them going quarterback, whether if it's Drake May or Jayden Daniels. But I have them going with Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver out of Ohio State. And I just feel like Marvin Harrison Jr. is too tough for the Commanders to pass up, because I feel like Marvin Harrison Jr. is the safest pick in this entire draft. And it's not nepotism at all. Marvin Harrison Jr. is extremely talented. And I feel like within the next 3 seasons, I think we're going to be making a lot of talks about how Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best receiver in the NFL. Plus, I don't think Sam Howell was the entire problem with the Commanders last season. Even though he did lead the league in interceptions, almost half of them were not completely on him. Part of it was just his desire to want to extend plays and not having time to throw, as he was sacked 65 times last season. But in this particular mock draft, they simply take the best player on the board, and that is Marvin Harrison Jr., the safest pick in this entire draft. With the third pick, the Patriots select Jayden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU, the 2023 Heisman Trophy winner. Jerod Mayo, he gets the quarterback that will hopefully bring the Patriots back to relevance, as the Patriots, they have not had much success since the departure of Tom Brady. With the 4th pick, the Cardinals select Malik Nabers, wide receiver, LSU. Behind Ohio State wide receivers, LSU wide receivers, they are in the top 3 as far as safest picks in drafts. If you ask me, the top 3 safest picks in drafts typically are Ohio State receivers, LSU receivers, and Alabama running backs. But not in every instance. Example, in this instance, with the 5th overall pick, the Chargers select Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. We saw a few years back the Falcons take Kyle Pitts with the 4th overall pick. And you don't typically see tight ends go off the board so early. But I think Brock Bowers, in this instance, is the 2nd safest pick in this entire draft, only behind Marvin Harrison Jr. And you'll hear me say this a lot, not only in the mock draft process, but for years to come. The NFL is a copycat league. And Brock Bowers is the closest thing you will get to Travis Kelce in a while, if not ever. And when you're in a situation that the Chargers are in, Jim Harbaugh returning to the NFL, the mentality at this point is to go with the best player available, and that is Brock Bowers. With the 6th pick, the Giants select Drake May, quarterback, North Carolina. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of heat in the comments about Drake May falling out of the top 5, and I'm sure they'll say there's no way Drake May falls out of the top 5. I honestly think that he probably will. And I just really don't know why yet, but every single season we seem to have a lot of prospects on our minds that we think will go really high, but they fall out of the top 5, top 10 even. And we'll see what happens at the Combine next week and for Pro Days, but I think overall this would be not a bad fit for Drake May. With the 7th pick are the Titans with Rome Odunze, wide receiver out of Washington. The Titans, they hopefully find their wide receiver 1. What the Titans are hoping for an elite wide receiver in the near future. Rome Odunze is the best receiver on the board at this point in the draft. With the 8th overall pick, the Falcons go with Dallas Turner, edge rush out of Alabama. The Falcons, they select a prospect that can get to the quarterback, as I've seen a lot of Falcons fans online talk about their lack of players that can get to the quarterback, as I believe the Falcons had the least amount of QB sacks this past season. With the 9th overall pick, the Bears go with Joe Alt, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. With the 10th pick, the Jets go with Oli Fashanu, offensive tackle out of Penn State. The 11th pick, the Vikings go with Jared Verse, edge rush out of Florida State. With the 12th pick, now this pick will probably get me a lot of heat in the comments, but the Denver Broncos go with Cooper DeJean, cornerback out of Iowa. I do feel like Cooper DeJean is going to be one of the guys that is going to really benefit from this combine next week. I've seen a lot of mock drafts where Cooper DeJean is towards that bottom 20s in the draft, around that pick 20 and 25 range where I'm typically seeing Cooper DeJean. But I think he's going to be one of the big winners of next week's combine, and I would not be surprised if he ends up getting drafted right where I have him at pick 12, right around the 11 to 15 range. With the 13th pick, I have the Raiders going with Terrion Arnold, cornerback out of Alabama. 14th pick, I have the Saints going with Latu, edge rusher out of UCLA. 15th pick, the Colts go with Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback out of Alabama. 16th pick, I had the Seahawks with Michael Penix Jr., quarterback out of Washington. And this one really sticks out to me because recently the Seahawks, they hired Ryan Grubb to be their offensive coordinator. And Ryan Grubb's previous position, offensive coordinator for Washington. Michael Penix Jr. and Ryan Grubb, they know each other really well. And I think there is a reason why the Seahawks went with Ryan Grubb as their offensive coordinator. Plus, it'd be an opportunity for Michael Penix Jr. to learn under Geno Smith if they do happen to keep Geno Smith around. I do think it's a work in progress pick. As we've seen a lot of the most talented quarterbacks in the league start off as backups and learning under veteran leadership. Pick number 17, the Jaguars go with Nate Wiggins, cornerback out of Clemson. Pick number 18, the Bengals, they finally invest in their offensive line. They go with Talise Foga, offensive tackle out of Oregon State. Pick number 19, the Rams go with Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo. Pick number 20, the Steelers go with J.C. Latham, offensive tackle, Alabama. Pick number 21, the Dolphins go with Jackson Powers Johnson, offensive lineman out of Oregon. Pick number 22, the Eagles go with yet another Georgia player, Kamari Lassiter, cornerback out of Georgia. Pick number 23, the Texans select Byron Murphy, defensive lineman out of Texas. Pick number 24, the Cowboys go with Amarius Mims, offensive tackle, Georgia. Pick number 25, the Packers go with Ennis Rakestraw Jr., cornerback, Missouri. Pick number 26, the Buccaneers go with Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver, LSU. Pick number 27, the Cardinals go with Zerjon Newton, defensive lineman, Illinois. Pick number 28, the Bills go with Troy Franklin, wide receiver, Oregon. Pick number 29, the Lions go with Graham Barton, offensive lineman out of Duke. Pick number 30, the Ravens go with Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver, Texas. Pick number 31, the 49ers select Jordan Morgan, offensive tackle out of Arizona. And concluding the first round, the Chiefs select Ladd McConkey, wide receiver out of Georgia. And that concludes my NFL Mock Draft 1.0 for the year 2024. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Until next time, have a good one, and take care of yourself out there.